Hi everybody, I'm Desirée Dunbar, and it's a pleasure and an honor to be here today with Akeisha de Baat. And Akeisha is a gorgeous dancer, dance artist living in Vancouver, British Columbia. Hi Akeisha.
Hi.
How are you?
How are you?
Good. Thanks so much for being here today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is great. And I've known Akeisha for a while now. She graduated from the Simon Fraser University School of Dance, School for Contemporary Arts recently in the last couple of years. And since then, I've had the pleasure of working with her through a production of my dance company, Dance. We created a kind of mentorship dance lab for emerging choreographers to come in. And we hired Akeisha and her team, the Warehouse Dance Collective, to come in and create a piece. And it was just a gorgeous piece. And I know they've had an opportunity to perform it numerous times since then. So it's been really fun watching your journey developing with this collective as well. So today I think our listeners and viewers would love to hear how it's been for you coming out of a dance program and then entering into this connection with your collective, and then all the travels that you've had and the further education that you've had since graduating. So maybe you could just chat a little bit about that.
Yeah, so coming out of that program was a bit of a shock. You hear a lot of people that go through a degree coming out, not necessarily working in their field, and eventually not working in anything linked to what they felt or they were in the degree for. And then coming out of the dance program, that was a little bit more shocking because I really wanted to go to school specifically for this. And so I was just extra determined to make it anything I could and make it my own. I always felt that there was something personal and was very particularly me to be said after graduating. So then the flow of trying to find out what that was, and my two dance partners, Megan Hunter and Sophia Polavina, were fellow graduates of myself, and we decided that we are just going to go and do it. Whatever doing it meant, we were just going to do it. And from there, we teamed up with you, Desiree, to do the Dance Lab project, and that really put us, kind of also like committed us to something. And we created our first work, which was 25 minutes long, called Vita, and it was a piece that came out of genuine movement from how we felt coming out of program with such structure and movement, and trying to find out how that then translated through us personally and collectively. That was an interesting process, and still is, because we've done that piece. We've done excerpts of it for maybe 3 or 4 events, and we've done that piece twice fully. So it's been exciting to see it grow over a year, and we hope to do it another time, more times. Yeah. And each time it gets a little bit different because we learn more.
Yeah, and it's such a beautiful piece, and I think you did an awesome job of bringing out each of your expertise and talents, but then also synergizing it together and creating something new. Like, I can see your individual voices, but also see the authenticity of the group and the expression of the trio too, which is so nice to see. And just backtracking just a little bit, when you entered into the dance program, what was your vision for yourself and your hopes and dreams and goals entering into a dance program? Because I think some people want to be performers, some people teachers, maybe more producers or even writers, or move into more of a scholarly realm. So what was your dream for yourself?
I've always looked at myself as the performer. Before getting into SFU's program, I had been in New York the year before doing the Alvin Ailey independent program. Oh. And so I came from a very, very structured, very set technical background. And going into SFU, I was pleasantly surprised that they created thinkers. So through the 4 years, I had ups and downs and anger and excitement and sadness over not being held to a high technical level of like technique, having to be a certain way, but more being held to my thought and to what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it and who did I want to say it with, how is collaboration going to work, what other elements and other art forms can come in and help you say what you want to say. So over the 4 years, I developed that inner desire to articulate all of those things. And so coming out of the program, I believe now at this moment in my life and career, I am the creator of my performance.
Yeah, that's an empowering skill to have, because you also came into the program with a certain amount of technique. You were already quite a strong technician, so maybe that balanced it by allowing you to sort of cultivate more of the choreographer and the artist part of yourself. So now as you are out in the world, you're creating your own work, you're doing a lot, and you're also taking class and training and dancing in other people's work too. So now it's like you have more options, really. Yes, you can dance in a company and do projects, but you also feel very confident, I think, in presenting your own work. That's wonderful. And you've also been doing a lot of traveling, and I would just love to hear about it. And I know our viewers would love to hear too, just sort of that. It takes so much courage just to like pack up a bag and go somewhere where you don't know anyone. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that's been really exciting. I currently just got back from Australia from a workshop called One Body, One Career with the counter technique that's part of Chunky Move, or based from Chunky Move. The director, Anoop Van Dyke, created it. And coming home from that trip, I realized 2 years ago, I said I wanted to travel and dance. I didn't put any boundaries on that statement. I didn't say if I want to be paid, where I wanted to dance, how I wanted to dance. I just said travel and dance. And I realized in 1 year, I've gone to 7 different countries, and I've danced in every single one of them.
Wow.
It's a lot. It was really exciting to see that.
And just to be clear, we live in Canada, and Canada itself is like one huge country, and there's nothing really around us. So to get to 7 other countries is quite a feat, like just in terms of even like taking a plane. Like it's going to be a 10-hour flight to get somewhere else.
Yes, yeah. 10 to 14. So I decided that I was going to do a workshop the following year. Getting out of university, I felt that I needed to distance myself from Vancouver. I needed to go to Europe. I needed to not have anybody know me, and I needed to let go of all the expectations of myself and just dance with complete openness. So I did that. I went to Italy for 2 weeks, and I did the Open Florence workshop there. And then you just kind of hit workshop after workshop, impulse dance. You go take classes in city studios, similar to like our dance center classes. You find them in another city. You meet people and you say, where do you take class? And you go there. And it's actually surprising how many Canadians you find at different places. And you start to build your network and you start to build your little world. And then you realize that other people that you know from Vancouver also know these people. So then you have continuing friendships. And I did a lot of different countries and cities in 2015. And then 2016 was the big trip to Australia for this workshop, which has, I think, completely changed me as a dancer and has allowed me to finally click with something that I feel I can start to cultivate and learn and hopefully become a certified teacher of in a few years, to create a parallel career path that not only enhances my dance and my art, but creates an income that's dance related.
Yes, that's so important. That's amazing. And how much, when you went on these trips, how much did you plan? Like, I know you had this Chunky Move workshop to go to, so of course that's a nice solid plan. But when you're saying take class here and there, did you know ahead of time what the studios were, or did you wait till you got there and start to connect once you're there?
I seemed to plan the first one and a middle one. So the first time it was in Italy, and then I knew I had to be in Vienna a couple weeks later.
Right.
So what I did in between was kind of more open and could be open, and then I knew that I had to end up in Berlin at a certain time. So then you just kind of be a little bit more fluid in between those weeks. They're like landmarks. So if you set a few landmarks, you have structure, so you know that you're going to be dancing and you know where you're going to be, but you can be really fluid. But then again, in Europe, especially in certain times of the year, you can just go city to city and there's workshops and classes always happening. Okay. With places like, I think, Canada, it's a little bit more, you have to structure it. Right. Search for the workshops and then plan them. But in Europe, it was a little bit more open, for sure.
And what about budget? I mean, I think that's always a concern when you're a dancer, right? Because I know we're always like, we work so hard and it can be challenging to make a solid income as you're working. I know a lot of us do serving or teaching or other, like you're saying, parallel kinds of careers, because dance isn't always the mainstay of our budget. So when you are, how much, can you just talk about that? I don't know if you want to say numbers or just an idea of how to plan for that.
Yeah, so when I went to Europe, I went for 3.5 months, and 2 months of that was planned. I had saved for a year. It cost roughly about 8 to 10 grand to do all the things that I did, and that's on the high end. You don't have to do it for that much.
Okay.
You can pick your workshops. It's really nice in Italy or in Europe. There's a lot of workshops that are quite long that aren't going to break your bank. So they can be, I've seen workshops from like 500 euros for a week, but you're dancing for like 6 hours a day. Or the workshop I did was roughly 650 euros, and it was 13 out of 14 days. I got to dance in class, I got to work with a choreographer, and I got a performance at the end. So you can really search for workshops that aren't going to break the bank, and then you kind of sign up for them in advance so that you can get the lesser flight ticket.
Yes.
So you do have to look at it a few months in advance and kind of start checking those websites and looking at the cost. Impulse is expensive. They charge per day and they charge per week and per class. So you can spend a lot of money and not always get a lot, or you can spend a little and get a lot. Okay.
Yeah, that's really helpful. I think of it almost like, if you're entering into a 4-year BFA program, you could almost plan like, it's like my 5th year is actually going to be this transition into networking, getting out there, exploring, and working towards a job, because there is going to be a transition. I think it's unrealistic to expect you're going to go right into the ideal job with the ideal income as soon as you get your degree. So planning almost for that like 5th year, what you've been doing, and budgeting for that and working along the way too, but thinking of it as a transition. I think it's so smart what you've been doing. It's great.
I know now my next phase is to apply for grants for training, because I have mentors out there that I would like to specifically train under. But I think as young artists, not having a huge resume, we can get a little deterred from applying for those grants. And yes, you don't always get your first one, but I do encourage young dancers to start applying for their first training grants while they're in school and get their professors to look at it, so that you, like you said, you can plan almost this 5th year of training. Having gone around Europe and having danced with a lot of people from around the world, I value so much the training that I have in the technical aspect. It allows me not to think about certain things, and I can go other places, and I can work on the more feeling side of things, the more interpretive side. And I can kind of not worry about understanding the phrase. That's been drilled into my body of picking up movement. I understand timing. So I really do appreciate the training that I do have. And it allowed me to really let go in Europe because I didn't have to focus on steps necessarily.
Yeah, hopefully once you get out of your BFA program like you did, you're ready to meet that world. But then again, we're also like constant learners. I think anyone who goes into the field of dance is always going to be wanting to better themselves and learn and like fill themselves up in every way possible. So that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, having that base training, that foundation, and feeling confident, because that allows a certain kind of confidence to come in too, right? So you're like, oh, okay, I have all these tools in my toolkit, and I'm comfortable in my body, and I know my mind works quickly, and then all I have to do is go into these different situations and then gain, like you're saying, like the artistry and teaching methodologies and approaches to the work. It just sounds like a lot of fun, like so enriching.
It has been.
Yeah. So how's it to come back? Because I know you're in Vancouver today. You're back here right now. So, and I noticed you're going to be teaching a workshop. So I love that you're bringing back some of this newness and new skills to your community. So what are you doing now?
Now, yeah, I got a workshop happening on Monday. I've teamed up with the DSU to do a class that's influenced by counter technique. One way for me to practice it is to do it, pass it along. And so we'll be having fun in the studio with the principles of counter and doing a few exercises that enhance those principles. It's $2 for DSU students or SFU in general, and $5 for anybody else. 11 to 1. If we get a good number of people, the combos you just keep doing and doing and doing. They're a lot of fun. Nice. But at that, Warehouse is going into our 3rd season. We've commissioned a choreographer, and we start working on a duet with her and Megan and I. I'm just going to keep her name a secret.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're going to do that, and we'll be showing an excerpt of that duet in Dance for Small Stage in October, 11th through the 15th. And we will be working on a larger piece directed by Megan, and we will be showing an excerpt from that, the full-length version of the duet at the January Dance for All Sorts put on by New Works, which we, again, for our 2nd year have teamed up with, which we are very happy to be part of once again. That's a great opportunity and a great event, and they do a great work for the community. What else? We have little performances here and there, some stuff in November. We are kind of dabbling into other realms of performance, video. We are starting to brainstorm some ideas with some videographers. So we're kind of expanding our wings a bit. We are trying to do a few more things throughout the year and have projects kind of continuously going, and kind of pushing our bar up a little bit more. We keep setting it higher and higher as the season goes, and as the years accumulate, we want to do more and we want to get bigger, and just really grow artists, like as individual artists and as a collective. We want to train together, so we're planning training trips to go away and as a team and to train, so that we stay connected in that sense. Like a company would train together, we want to train together. So yeah, lots in the works.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's exciting.
Big dreams, and we're excited about them.
That's great. And what do you do for yourself to stay in dancer shape right now. So when you're in town, what do you do? Like if you're not in a workshop that's 6 hours a day, what would you do? Any advice just even to people that are preparing to step into the professional realm? And it's like, well, what do you do? How do you take a class? You don't. What kinds of classes do you take?
Yeah, I think that one personally is shifting a bit for myself. We do take working class all the time. Megan and I have both gone through the EDM Contact Improv Scholarship. So we take those classes.
Explain what that is for viewers who might be in the U.S. or outside of Canada too.
So EDM is a contact improvisation. EDM is a company or society, and they have a contact improvisation class run by Peter Bingham. And he offers scholarships to roughly 6 people a semester. And you do training 3 to 5 times a week in the morning. And yeah, it's strictly contact improvisation, which is life-changing in itself. Is another form of training that really changes how you approach humans, how you approach yourself, how you approach movements. So that was really good to get into early.
Nice. So that's like a regular class every day, like a one class a day kind of thing?
Yeah, there's morning classes that are held, and then there's evening drop-ins, and there's some weekend classes, but most of the professionals go in the morning.
That makes sense. So that's like a nice preparatory class, so you could rehearse after that or go to work, do whatever you need to do, but you have that foundation happening.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And then you mentioned working class too. Could you just
Yeah, so the Training Society of Vancouver holds what we call working class. They're $10 drop-ins, and there's a new teacher every week. They're held on Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday, and they are an hour and a half long. And that is an arrangement. You get all sorts of different teachers. Sometimes if there's an international artist in for a performance, they'll try and get them to do a workshop or a couple classes, and you just have to keep your eye out for those. But those are good classes too. They really get you warm, and again, you hopefully can take that and then go into rehearsal depending on your rehearsal hours. Mm-hmm. It really varies.
Perfect. And do you, like, as you're pursuing your career, like this path of dance, do you ever doubt your choice? Like,
all the time.
No one ever doubts themselves.
All the time. And as much as I would love to say no, I do. But I learn, and I'm learning to continuously question whether the doubt is from fear or just trying to understand all the different variables, trying to understand why the doubt is coming in. Is it because I am afraid to say that topic, or I don't want to fail? But we try and train ourselves to think of the word failure as just a try, like to not use that word. So recognizing that doubt is constant, but redefining it, whether it's like, it's more of an investigation. So you look at it, you go, oh, but why am I like hesitant? Am I fearful, or is I'm just unsure? And can I get out of that situation and feel good about it? And not feel like I took 2 steps back, but really just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And then I have my coworkers to really bounce off of. Yeah. We really are open and honest, and we've got big dreams, and we push each other to keep going for every single one of those. Although we are a collective, we support the individual as much as the collective.
And how would you define success for yourself?
That's a good question.
Because I think it's important when we have big hopes and dreams and desires, which we do, because anyone, again, who's a dancer is driven and motivated and probably type A and has lots of plans. So how and this is a question for myself too, like how do we celebrate successes along the way so that we're feeling fulfilled and satisfied as well? And I'm just wondering how you define that for yourself.
I think make a list of those, writing them down, and every so often you check in with that list, and if there is on any level a check mark against any of those things, you've succeeded. It might not be exactly what you thought it was going to be, but you did succeed and you did accomplish that. And doing like a yearly recap of all the things that you've done, and making goals in the first place, and actually making them actionable. So for instance, Warehouse, we would like to go into studios and teach some workshops to inspire young dancers. Like, here's a program we went to. This is what we've been able to do. Here's the work that we do. Here's, these outlets that you can do that are, you can start thinking about kind of in your studio years, or you might not know this, but we can somehow trickle down our knowledge and our inspirations to them. And so that's a goal of ours. So we now need to put that forth, and we're potentially getting an email soon saying that we might get to teach our first workshop. So that's that's a success based on an action we took, and hopefully it'll be a success that we actually get to do it. So celebrating every little step, an check mark. Even if it's almost a check mark, like, okay, well, you got to that point. What's the next step?
I think you have like the perfect amount of like drive to create goals. Like, I know you're a real planner. Like, you like to make plans. That's awesome. And then you have the confidence in yourself to think that you could even try to do those things. And then you're motivated to actually do it, like do the steps day by day. And somehow you stay on that path of doing it, because I've seen you accomplish all these things in the last couple of years, and even your degree, and it's quite amazing. Like, somehow you just have this perfect amount. So all these things that you're saying, I just think are so helpful, and just like a really nice reminder. Like, yes.
Yeah, and not getting hung up on the really big ones. So the ones that seem that are going to define you. Like, don't get hung up on the really big ones that are going to define. There's lots of steps that get to that moment, and there's lots of really big successes that you're putting in hierarchy. So if you kind of, we've talked about in our group of just kind of flipping the way we look at our goals is they're all equal. We want to accomplish them all, and we don't want to put one at like the very top. Like, if we make this one, like that, like defines us, or that gives you that like extra star. The little ones do too.
I agree. And I think, because we're talking a bit about manifesting here, and the way that I teach is that, yes, we make the goals, the little ones and the big ones, but then we always say, or better after. Or better, like, I'm going to go do a workshop in Australia, or better, because we just don't know what else is around the corner, and we want to create a kind of like space within us for that to be able to come in. Because if we hold on too tight to those goals too, sometimes it could limit us from something that's just around the corner that's going to be amazing. So yeah, make the goals, take the action steps, and then just always say or better with that.
There was a lot of talk in Australia amongst the dancers about process, and we talk about it a lot here in Vancouver too. But for some reason, the way it was described in Australia sunk better with me. About, they use the word end gaining, never to end game, always just go through the process, just apply the tools and do the tools, and the outcome is going to be the outcome of you applying the tools.
I like that.
I did that kind of perspective, I feel a little less stressful.
Take the pressure off a little bit.
Take all the pressure off and just do the steps, do the tools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I don't know if you feel this, but anytime I've made a dance, like I have ideas and feelings, and I know I'm going to use, like you're saying, like the tools, this tool and that tool, but it never turns out how I thought. It's like a whole other scenario. Like, I don't even know who made that dance. Like, how did that happen? But it's not that I like it or not like it. It's just like, wow, okay. Like, I couldn't have imagined that thing, really. Yeah.
Yeah, the process.
The process. It's a pretty fun thing that we do. It's pretty cool. So you're going to be teaching a workshop, and then any other plans in the next, coming into the fall? Or are you just getting into the studio with the other women in warehouse and starting to work?
Yeah, we hit the studio collectively on September 5th. So that's kind of our start, I guess we like to call it. Individually, we're doing other things. We've got lots of starting things. I don't know what.
It's a process. You're just starting the process. Yeah, that's awesome. And do you have any last words of advice for dancers that are moving into the professional realm to work with those fears and concerns and self-doubt? Anything else that you would like to add, to say?
Yeah, keep training. I think that's been my biggest gift to myself, is to go and train. It's something that we take for granted when we're in the studio, because it's to us every day in school, and then we get out and life comes at us. But taking the time to keep training, scheduling it into your day, I think it's very important and a gift to you as a mover and to you as a dancer.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. And I think our body is our instrument. You know, like musicians practice alone in a little space by themselves for maybe 4 hours a day. And we as dancers, I think we're lucky and we like it to be in community around like-minded, amazing people. We get to train with other people, so we have community. So to keep yourself part of that community is important. And then also to keep honing your body. Your body is your instrument. And if you're not playing your instrument, you're not keeping up with your practice. So there's a continual effort in mastery and to continue honing our body and making our body into a dancer's body, which means keeping it healthy through food and nutrition and healing and all that kind of thing, but also just practicing. And that's so good to hear from you, because I know you're working on that continuously.
And to add to that, don't take classes seriously.
Oh, I like that. What do you mean by that?
Laugh, smile, tell yourself that, like, you don't have to get it. You can dance it however you want to dance it. That's the amazing thing of coming out of that program, is I no longer have to do anything a particular way.
Ooh, I like that. Is that because you're not being graded anymore?
I'm being graded. I don't have to do it the way that so-and-so says it has to be done. I can now interpret that my way. And in class, a lot of the teachers just want you to dance yourself.
I like that.
I always want to have fun in class wherever I am. Even in my schooling, I laughed and smiled, and if I messed up, well, try again. But to really do that in class as a professional, just don't take it too seriously.
Sounds so liberating. I like that. It's like you're really, what I see in you too is it's like you're really taking your life and being in the driver's seat of your own life, essentially. Like, you're the one calling all these shots. Like, you're in charge. It's not like being in a set program where you're being told exactly what credits you need to get and where you need to be when. It's entirely different. So that can be, it seems very liberating and very freeing, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's good too, even in a program. Like, Yes, we are actually, the only reason to dance is for joy. That is why everybody dances right from the time they can stand on their own 2 feet. It's for joy and connection to music. So that's a really good reminder. I'm going to take that one and run with it too. Thank you for reminding me. Awesome. Well, it's been such a pleasure to chat with you today, and I really look forward to seeing your upcoming shows. I can't wait, and to connect with you again soon, and maybe we can connect again in another year or so and let people know what you're up to. People will be interested to know. And do you have a website?
I do. So I have my personal website, www.akeishadebaat.com, and Warehouse has a website, www.warehousedc.com.
Great. And you can see the links below. I'll attach them below so people can check out what you guys are up to and follow you. Thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you soon around town.
Thanks, Desiree.
Okay, bye.
Bye.